Angus, welcome back to the show, man.
Well, thank you. So great to be here. It's been a while, huh? A lot of water has gone under the bridge.
Dude, it has been a while and I had to go look when you were on the show. Actually, by the time this
hmm
comes out, it'll be 5 years.
That's crazy.
It is
That's
crazy. Yeah.
ridiculous.
And what's funny is I just had it's as the time of this recording is coming out next week, I had Chuck Balsamo back on, and he holds the record for the most amount of times on the show. And so this will be his sixth time on the show. But the first five were in the first
That,
five
that's like
years of the
30 years
podcast.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's which is wild to think about. But his first five times on the show were in the first 5 years, and then there was a 5 year gap before he came back.
hmm
So it's like it's always fun to revisit people and go, where have you been for the last 5 years? So let's start
Yeah.
there, man. Where you been for the last 5 years?
So obviously we were talking during COVID and then went through COVID and we moved to Portugal in 2022. And so the last 4 years, it's been learning a new culture, new way of life. Uh, Quite honestly, getting in touch with my soul again. I was operating at a real high pace and I wanted to slow my life down. I wanted my kids to have an other kind of experience outside of the United States. We were talking beforehand, my family, had traveled a lot. My mom was from New Zealand. My wife, her family also outside the US, and we wanted to give our kids this same kind of experience. We said 1 year and we rented our house out. We moved to Portugal. After a year, our kids were in Portuguese schools, learning the language, lots of tears, lots of challenge. Hey guys, what do you think? And the kids said, why would we go back?
Wow.
And we stayed, flew back to the States, sold our house, sold everything, and we committed. And here we are.
And you ended up on a reality show too, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. We were on House Hunters International.
How
Did
real
you
is that
see that?
show?
Did you see it? I didn't look like too much of an idiot, did I?
I didn't see it. I actually did when I saw that you were on, I tried to find it and I couldn't find
Yeah.
it. I'm sure it's easier to find now because it's all on all the different platforms and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how real is that show?
There's contractual stuff I'm not allowed to say on the air, but if you read it online, it's likely true. Some of the things that are Hollywood magic, I'll just say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll leave it at that, so I
Dude, I
don't get
love it.
sued.
One of my favorite memes is like House Hunters. The husband sells colored pencils and the wife's a stay-at-home mom. $4.7 million home. Sign me up. Like it's like just unbelievable, man. But dude, it's so
hmm
fascinating to see. And we talked about Andy Storch too, who moved over there.
hmm
Obviously, he's in a
Yep.
different city, but um, when we talk about these things, like it's so important to put yourself in a place where you can find your soul again. And I like how
Yep.
you worded that.
Mhm.
Why was that so important to you? When you moved there, did you even realize that was going to come from it? Or was it like, okay, like I'm just going to move to a different place?
I think it was a little bit of and both. One, I wanted to experience something different. Being in Europe, out here on the street, I mean, I'm sitting here looking out this window here. I have multiple cafes. I can just go and drink coffee, European coffee, mind you. Have, some toasted bread, any number of, food items, and just watch the world go by. It's beautiful, and there's palm trees, there's sunshine, there's blue skies for like 300 days out of the year. We're next to the ocean. You can hear the seagulls. You can smell the air once in a while. The salty air will get over here. All those different things. Yes, cool, cool, cool. But the other side of it is and this is a pro and a con. When I was in the States, I had a big network. I was speaking at certain events, and those would turn into other events. And then I was attending different conferences. And I had the podcast meetup every month that I hosted in Nashville. And I had all these different things constantly going on. Plus, we had two vehicles. Our kids are in sports and dance, and we're, having to cart them around and take them to all the things. The pace of life when we were living in Nashville was pretty tight. Then we moved here. We don't have any cars. We have bikes I can rent. I pay 25 euro for the year, and I just go and I scan my phone, and the bike unlocks, and it's good for 45 minutes. I can ride anywhere in the city. They've got bike paths. It's super safe, super fun, and they're electric bikes, so it makes it really easy. Then you've got the metro system, the buses, the trolleys. You've got ferries that go across the river. You pay $40 and you can go on any of those all month long. So these are things that suddenly our life got simplified. On top of that, the pace really slowed down. My kids can go off to other things because it's safe. They don't need us to, cart them around. Plus, they've gotten older. So all of that helped me to slow down, and it started to hurt my business. So the con is I didn't have the same network. I'm not on the same stages. So I'm not able to capitalize on opportunities for conversations leading to cash flow. And as an executive coach, you have to keep the leads, coming. And those created challenges. Meanwhile, I went and wrote a book, and it helped me reflect on what were the things that were important. What was I observing about myself and what was I observing about the world? And that's been an incredible journey that I did not expect at all, did not plan for at all. And so it's been an amazing journey of, yes, we got to experience all these cool things, but what it did inside of us, and particularly for myself, has been transformational.
I love it, man. And obviously, this new book, Neuro Resilient Leader, is what came from all of this and all the lessons learned and all that crazy stuff. Like, why did you feel like it had to be put into a book? And what are some of the lessons we can take from it?
I think there's a couple things. One is, can I take the magic that I've learned over the last 15 years of working with leaders and put it in a way that they don't necessarily have to be on a call. They don't have to necessarily be able to afford me or hear me speak. But I wanted to put something in writing that captured all of it. The second piece, and this is probably more critical, is realizing that the world we're in right now, the pace that we're at, this era where AI, market volatility, all of the geopolitical issues, the complexity, the acceleration of technology and uncertainty has people in a place where they don't realize that leaders are doing what leaders know how to do when things get challenging. They just put their head down and they work harder. And what's happening right now is you cannot control velocity as much as you want to try. And so every business problem that's happening right now, especially with entrepreneurs and corporate, I would say as well, is these leaders are suddenly realizing what used to work isn't working any longer. And suddenly decisions are getting harder and heavier. People are not sleeping as well as they used to. The reports from the American Dental Association is 3 times the amount of cracked molars since COVID because of stress.
Wow.
People's nervous systems and their bodies are carrying a weight that they're not paying attention to. And suddenly it's stalling great ideas. It's hurting relationships. People are highly reactive. They can't think straight. It's hemorrhaging talent, and it's scaring away people from being ambitious because they don't know. And when they get to that state, their nervous system activates that fight, flight, or freeze. And this book is a tool to help people move outside of that, because the most expensive bottleneck right now is an individual who is unregulated. And it's causing their businesses to experience trials and tribulations that they don't deserve. And so I wanted to step in with a tool that could help people be set free.
Dude, I love it. My wife and I talk all the time about how we're not programmed to receive all of this information all the time. Like, we live in this world where we're just inundated with problems and issues and all the things. As much as you try and program your algorithm, you're still thrown these things that go, well, what is going on here? And I think anybody would benefit from this. We also, my wife and I also talk about how we hate leaving the house because everybody is not regulated at this point, right? They don't even remember how to operate in the real world, right? Like her least favorite thing to do is go to the grocery store. We get our groceries delivered, but they always miss a couple things. So she's got to go and get more stuff. And she's like, this is unbelievable. Just the people I interact with. And so perfect time for this book, right? Yeah. And how can we begin to re-regulate ourselves and not allow all of this noise and craziness to control our actions and what we're doing?
Well, like anything, the first step to overcoming a problem is admitting you have one, right? And then the second piece is, and I want to be really clear on what we're talking about here. when we talk neuro resilient leader, I want to just define terms real quick. Neuro being the neurology, because we're talking about layers of different pieces within our makeup that are beyond the tangible. So that neurology includes, yes, your central nervous system, but it's emotional, it's psychological, and it's also identity. These are all pieces of stories that we've told ourselves through the years, or the things that we're being inundated by via all the things you just described, whether it's media, whether it's other people, whether it's, family members, et cetera. Those are all the things that go into the neuro side. The second piece is resilience, where most people think resilience is like white knuckling it through challenge. And that is actually not resilience. Resilience, the way that I define it, it's more like a shock absorber in your vehicle. That is called a suspension system. And so if you're driving a car and you've got 4 different shock absorbers, they're all working in tandem, reading information off the road and adjusting accordingly so that the ride is smooth. In the same way, that's what we have to do with our nervous system. And the last piece is leader. Leader is not just someone who's in charge and has a title. A leader is somebody people want to follow. And we've forgotten that.
Mm.
And this book ultimately is a bit of a Trojan horse. I wrote it as a business book. It addresses entrepreneurship. It addresses being an executive in, high pressure situations. But the truth of the matter is, this book will teach you how to lead your life. And that's why I brought it into the world. And it has some of my stories. It has a number of my client stories. And I wrote it without being super woo or super psychobabble. I didn't want it to feel academic. I think I used the word amygdala like one time throughout the whole book. I don't
I don't even
want
know
to
what
get
that
into.
means. So
It's a perfect. See, that's why I didn't do
Google
it. You'd have to Google it, or like all the different psychology terms. It's just going to make people like glaze over. It's like, I want to write this in a way that anyone can pick it up and go, "Holy crap, this is for me."
Yeah, dude, I love it. And so, obviously, when we're talking about these high performance leaders and they get into a world and, when things get out of control, they just work harder. The one thing, a conversation I have very often with people, because I've designed my life now where I work 2 to 3 hours a day. I have an incredible life, making more money than I've ever made before. I do what I want. I shouldn't say no stress. There are things that stress me out sometimes, but I'm pretty good
Mhm.
at dealing with it. But what I've found is that high performers will work so hard, get everything that society says they should have, and they win, right? They quote unquote win from the outside,
Yeah.
but they're burnt out. They're miserable. They're unhappy in their relationship. They're unhappy in, with whatever else.
Yeah.
This is the perfect book for them from the standpoint of like, look, it's not always I have to do more, but how can we have that conversation with a high performer when they think that the answer is just more, but it's really going internal? How do we
Yeah.
address that issue?
So almost, I would say, I was going to say the worst, but I don't think it is the worst. It's one of the worst things you could tell a high performer is like, I just want you to do less, because that sounds like things could fall apart. That sounds like, where's my value if I'm not doing something? There's this propensity we have that we place a value according to the effort we express. And this is the fallacy we have. Most high performers build their lives around something happened in their life, and now they're either compensating, trying to prove, or try to validate a piece of their life by the expression that they have in the world. And the spin that I give it to someone going through this expression is to say, instead of seeing everything outside as the goal, that if I do these things outside, whether it's get the attention, get the fame, get the clout, get the money, get the girl, get the guy, get the house, instead of doing the things externally to actually validate something internally, it's to do the work to realize, just like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, there's no place like home. All that you need is actually already inside you. And your job is to set it free.
Mm.
And now when you walk into a room, instead of scanning the room to see who should I talk to? Who do I need to impress? Who do I need to win over? Who do I need to introduce myself to? Instead, you walk into a room from this place of expansion and expression. And my greatness goes before me. And now I'm here to offer my meaning and contribution to others because simply I am powerful in and of myself, in my sovereignty, in my agency. And this book helps you to unpack how powerful of a mofo you truly are and to give yourself permission, of which every book I sign says the only permission you need is your own.
Mm.
For you to step into what's before you has less to do what's in front of you and more about everything that's behind you. You're hanging on to the stories. You're hanging on to the validation. You're hanging on to the performance. You're hanging on to impressing people or pleasing people. Or you're hanging on to some story you're saying about yourself that you don't deserve, you're not worthy, or you don't have what it takes. And the moment we change those stories is the moment you step into the world in a place of power, light, and love.
Amazing. So I have a friend who he's one of like the leading people in neuroscience, like thought leaders. He speaks at all the conferences about it, and him and I have pretty deep conversations a lot. His name's Dolph Barron. If you're not familiar with him, he's a great human. You should know him. Him and I were talking at one point. And he goes, 97% of our programming happens before the age of 7.
Yep.
And I think Tony Robbins asked the best question to people, and he go, when you were a child, whose love did you require more, your mom's or your dad's? Or whose love did you fight for more, your mom's or your dad's? And a lot of times in that narrative, when you break it down, you'll find out why they're chasing that thing, why they're chasing that validation. And sometimes that's so hard to really kind of unlock in people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when we can finally look at ourselves, that gives us those answers. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. You know, we're looking at a world where people are pretending to have it all together, thinking that everyone else does.
Yeah.
And I've worked with, you know, people who are just shy of unicorn, you know, with their company. I've worked with companies, you know, 100 million. I've worked at companies at, you know, 100,000, you know, with different entrepreneurs. Everyone still puts their pants on the same way. Everyone still wakes up in a good mood or a bad mood. That part doesn't change. What does change is the person who decides to have intention in how they show up in the world. This is the major difference between people who operate at one level versus another. And I said to you before, those 3 pieces, like, I don't deserve, I'm not worthy, I don't have what it takes. And what's really interesting is on the journey to whatever you want to define as success, we'll just say the mountain of success. You get to the top and you have whatever it is, the eyeballs, the attention, the money, the house, the blah, 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 blah. You're like, I've made it. And on the other side of the mountain are the exact same 3 things. So as you're going up, do I deserve success? Do I deserve money? Am I worthy? Am I worthy of love? Am I worthy of success? Am I worthy of whatever? Do I have what it takes? Well, I didn't go to this school. I wasn't raised on that side of the country. I don't speak with that kind of eloquence. Those are the challenges that we face in the book. I call it the guardian. This is the voice in your head, and I'll come back to that in a second. You get to the thing called success. I've made it. And you come the other side and the same 3 things come up. Do I deserve this success or attention or this money, this house, this partner that I have, these children? Am I worthy? You don't know where I've been. You don't know what I've done. You don't know the things I've experienced. Or do I have what it takes? Can I keep it? Am I going to screw it up? What if I lose it? What if I start the next business and it doesn't have near the same success? Are people finally going to find out I'm a fraud, that I just got lucky? And I have more than a handful of conversations with multi-millionaires who have exited their buildings or exited their businesses, exited their building too. That'll work. And they're not back in that building either. But they're at a place where they're like, what? I don't know. I'm paralyzed. They do not know what to do next because of that equation. So here's this piece, this thing called the guardian. This is the voice that's in your head, that inner critic, some people call it, which I don't agree with that at all. In fact, the term inner critic, I think the inner critic is an asshole. It's just going to tear you down. But I don't believe that it's its actual purpose. And I didn't really connect to this until I was writing the book. And I realized that that voice that's in our head is not the enemy. It's more like a helicopter parent. They're overprotective, trying to keep you safe. And that voice is saying, "Oh, don't go there. You're not ready for that. Oh, what if it makes you a jerk? What if it taints, your purity? Like some people think if you get rich, you become an asshole, but it's not true. Money just makes you more of what you are. So if you're an asshole when you're rich, you're going to be an asshole when you're poor. It doesn't matter."
Yeah.
But here's the key is when you start to recognize that and that voice pops up and says, "Oh, you shouldn't go on that stage. You shouldn't be in a room with these kinds of people." You can say, "Thank you. I appreciate your concern, but I'm ready to step forward." And what's in front of you can be scary. What's in front of you feels intimidating, but that is the thing that we go through to get to what's next. That's called the resistance. And every one of us in our journey has to push through resistance. And it's what in the book I call it the tuition you pay for the graduation you deserve.
Mm.
And so all of this is a matter of reframing through your mind and your emotions that when that guardian speaks, suddenly your nervous system kicks in. It wants to sabotage. It wants to run away. It wants to go left when you should go right. Or you pause in that moment and you get regulated. Breathing exercises, meditation, visualization, get to the gym, exhaust your body, tame your mind. Spend some time tapping, rip your shoes and socks off and go put your toes in the grass. Go someplace beautiful and peaceful and breathe. And suddenly you regulate your body and suddenly you feel like, now I'm stepping forward. And in the book, I talk about the difference between your future and your past. Neither one possesses power. The only thing that has power is now.
I love it. I love it. I just saw a reel recently. It was a monk doing an interview, and he talked about how your life is only one day, right? You're born on one day, you die on one day, and you can only live one day. And it's such a beautiful way to look at things, right? Just being present and understanding all I have control over is what I do right in this very moment. Like you can't control what's going to happen or anything, and you can't change what's happened in the past. I thought it was such a beautiful way to look at it. But I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little actionable stuff that's in this book. And you talk about the C3 protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through that a little bit.
So if you simplify it to just the three core pieces, there's a piece of clarity, of which every conversation I start with what I call the Spice Girl principle. Tell me what you want, what you really, really want. And you ask somebody that, and they tell you all the things they don't want. It's like, no, but what do you want? And most people can't answer that. And it's like, how do you know where you're headed until you decide where you want to go? Mm. Not the destination, simply the direction. Because your decisions will follow the clarity of that desire. And that's in business, that's in relationships, that's in, the quality or caliber of life you want. You decide that, and then you start shaping your life around it. So once you get clear, others around you, ironically, get clear too. I know where I stand. I know how I can operate in your system. I know where we're headed, and I decide that I want to come on the journey with you. Clarity is such a key piece, as particularly in light of what's going on. We look at all this uncertainty. We look at things that feel broken. And the truth is, you can't change any of that. They will always be uncertain. They will always be broken. But the only thing you control is you. So what if you get clear on that? Who I am and how I show up in the world. And now I'm invincible to all the external because it has nothing to do with me. I have everything to do with me. And layers, that's the clarity, right? And the book unloads 3 different evolutions that you go through for that. The second piece is capacity. When you have clarity, you can hold the weight of whatever responsibility is before you. Now I know where I'm going. And so when pressure comes, you don't like shut down, you become that suspension system. It's data and it informs you. And suddenly things are revealed to you. A challenge comes, a threat comes, a person disagrees with you. And instead of you being reaction and reactive, you get curious, you get calm. Hey, why don't you agree? Tell me more. Hey, I'm open. I have this vision, but I'm going to keep an open hand. And you start to function in a different capacity, and people feel safe in your presence, which takes us to this third piece. Once you're able to hold the load of whatever's before you, like Spider-Man's uncle, gosh, what was uncle's name? He said, with great power comes great responsibility, right?
What is his name?
Right?
Now,
I
now
know.
I'm
I
going to be
just
thinking
draw a blank.
about that the rest of this interview.
Right? Spider-Man's uncle, whatever his name is. So somebody's going to be tweeting this and like, you guys, you knuckleheads, it's so
Idiots.
easy. Yeah. So now all of a sudden you have the ability to hold what's before you because this is who you are. You were made for this. Everything of your past has prepared you for such a time as this. Every failure, every time you fell on your face, every time you second guessed, every time you were crying in tears on that hotel bathroom floor was shaping and molding you for a place of power to withstand and to hold in resistance. That's the suspension system of whatever's in your hand right now. Now you step into composure. From clarity to capacity to composure is that ability to stand under the weight of the responsibility before you, to be and to see what you're capable of. That's true power. And in the book, I call it the nothingness. Nothing to gain, nothing to prove, and nothing to lose. It's the most powerful person in any room. Nothing to gain, nothing to prove, nothing to lose. Because it has nothing to do with anyone else. It has only to do with how you see you. Now the clarity, the vision, the audacity that you carry, people, they see authenticity. They see reality. They want to be a part. It actually attracts talent to be a part of your company. It actually attracts partners who want to be a part of your business or investment. It attracts partners in terms of relationship. All these different layers are a part of this equation, and I've seen it time and time again. I've worked over 75 corporate companies, from Adobe to Bridgestone to Walmart. Like, I've worked with so many leaders from so many companies, over 200 senior level execs, and they wrestle with this equation. And it's the same for everyone.
Dude, this is so good. This is so good. I absolutely love it, man. I think that this is it's so needed. And I think that from a standpoint of like, you struck gold with these ideas and how you approach it. And, you know, in the book, you talk about a 10-minute practice that people can do. What is the actual 10-minute practice that people can do starting now?
So you brought up how the things around us, like you don't even want to go outside. You don't want to turn on your radio or your television. Well, I don't know who listens to the radio anymore. And people do. I mean, it exists. So people are listening. Like any of that, we'll call it inundation, is indoctrination, right? When you're inundated by all this stuff. I was in the States a few weeks ago down in Anaheim and then went to Nashville. And man, sometimes it feels like the frog in the boiling water if you listen too long, right? There's a difference between being informed and being inundated. But either way, you can be indoctrinated. And so if you're going to be indoctrinated, why not indoctrinate yourself with something powerful and positive? So in the same way we talked about your past, we talked about your stories, we talk about the things you tell yourself, but then on top of that is all the stuff you get from the people around you, the movies you watch, the music you listen to, and the news, the talk radio, or whatever else you take in. All of that is shaping your mind. So the 10-minute exercise, and I have a program called 10-Minute Leaders. The goal is to get 10 million leaders to spend 10 minutes a day to become a 10.0 version of themselves. Because if you just took 10 minutes to just speak to the power and possibility that's within you through affirmations, through visualizations, through meditation, to practicing and rehearsing the same way a world-class athlete would before performing, the same way before a world-class speaker would do before they step on stage, the same way a world-class politician would rehearse in their mind before they open their mouth. These are the things that are necessary for you to put yourself in what Tony Robbins called state. You can do it physically, you can do it emotionally, but you can also do it neurologically, which is all of these layers combined. And suddenly you can walk into a meeting in a place of power, a place of sovereignty, a place of agency. You can walk into a difficult conversation. You can walk into a bigger arena, a bigger stage. And so I say, what if 10 minutes before every big opportunity or devastating conversation, you just put yourself in state? Just take 10 minutes to reset and get your foundation so that you show up in your most powerful self. And so my invitation is spend 10 minutes a day. Everyone that goes through my program, this is part of the protocol. You go through this and you rehearse clarity, capacity, and composure.
Dude, I love it, man. I love it. So I'm going to ask you a question I asked you 5 years ago. I should have went back and listened to see what you said, because I ask this every time. So post interview, I'm going to go back and listen. It's a two-part question. The first part is, what is your definition of success? And the second part is, what are 3 things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself?
So I would say my definition for success hopefully hasn't changed. There's so much pressure. I'm sweating. Let me do my 10 minutes real quick. Hold on. I think my definition for success has very little to do with an external achievement as much as it is an internal approval of self. When you can stand in the nothingness, the nothing to gain, nothing to prove, nothing to lose, I think that's the ultimate success. You're bulletproof and people want to be around you. There's no arrogance, no ego. There's just life and love. And I think that's contagious. How does one do that was the second question, I believe.
3 things you do every single day to ensure that success for yourself.
3 things I do every day. Well, if I tell you this right now, first of all, it's a lie, but 3 things I try to do every day. One is the 10 minutes. I want to spend 10 minutes, either I'm here on this couch or I'm playing this guitar or I'm taking some time just to rehearse. Number 2 is how I show up with my family. Making sure that I'm present, making sure I'm not speaking out of emotion, not speaking out of, my judgment. Definitely not perfect in that world. I've got teenagers now and they just call me on my shit. I'm like, dang it, shoot. Oh, God.
Yeah, teenagers do that, man.
Yeah. And then, of course, my oldest is 31, so she's definitely all over me. And then the third thing is, and this, I definitely didn't answer this last time, but I think this is a piece, is learning to love myself. On the Enneagram, if you're familiar with that, I'm a 3-wing 2. So shame is something that I can carry real easily. And in light of the stories of my past, or in light of how my kids might have called me out on how I didn't pronounce the word desculpe to say I'm sorry in Portuguese properly, if I just get corrected in something or correct myself in something and I fall short of my own expectations, I can carry that shit like a backpack. And learning to know and to forgive myself in those moments, that even though I wrote this book, even though I work with all these high caliber people, even though I have, whatever accolades behind me and I've been on some reality show where I look the fool, all those things mean nothing unless I can love myself in the imperfections behind it all. The stuff that people can't see. That's where I have to have love for me.
So I'm on day 400 something of Duolingo. And disculpe, I'm learning Spanish, not Portuguese. It's disculpe in Spanish. And that's really the only word I feel like I've retained, because there's one of the characters with this low, slower voice, and he always goes, disculpe. And so that's stuck in my head because I'm like, what a goofy word. And I'm like, all right, I'll take it. Oh, dude. amazing answers. And I want to ask you this, and I don't know if I asked you this 5 years ago. It's something that I was doing for a
Mm.
while and I stopped and I'm bringing it back.
Yeah.
Um, and that is, I want to fast forward to the end of your life. And hopefully that's 500 years from now, 100 years from now, however long
Uh,
you want to live. And you've lived
yeah.
a full life. But I want you to
Yeah.
imagine that everything you've created, the books you've read, the podcasts you've created, all the things, they've disappeared. They no longer
Yeah.
exist. And you
Yeah.
can only be remembered for one sentence. What would you want that sentence to be?
Every time I got around Angus, I felt seen.
I love it. I love it. So I wrap up every single interview with the same question. But before we get there, where can people find you? Where can they get the book? What's all the good stuff?
Um, if you've listened to the interview thus far, I've got a treat for you. I'm not gonna like. Let me put it this way. I want you to buy my book. I want you to buy the audio book will be available soon. Get the Kindle. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, go buy my stuff. Absolutely. Or this mission is more important to me than you buying my book, and I want to give it to you. And you can peek behind the curtain. You can see it for yourself. You can download the PDF at freebook.vip because you're a very important person and I want you to get this material. If you can't afford it, it's my gift to you. If you can afford it, but you're like skeptical, oh, I need to read another book. Like this, if you're watching the video, like this is not a thin little, this is like an investment and you don't have to read all of it. I broke it up into these different pieces that you just read what you need. It's got 7 different variable, you know, things you can tackle. Go to freebook.vip. You can download it. Online, you can find me anywhere at Angus Nelson. I'm on all the channels at Angus Nelson. If you want to reach out to me, I'd say LinkedIn's probably the primary piece.
I love it. Get the free book, guys. Go out and grab it and go through it. And I love that it's written in that way that you can just go, I need this right now. And you
Yeah.
go and take in that bite size. I think that's imperative, especially now in the ADHD world and our attention being drawn in so many different ways.
Yeah.
What a genius way to write a book.
Yeah.
As I'm currently writing a book and it's what a grind, man.
Yeah.
It's certainly a lot of work and you should be proud of it, dude. So congratulations on that.
Thank
So
you.
I wrap up every single interview with the same question. Since the show is called The Growth Now Movement, that question is, in your life, what has been your biggest moment of growth?
My biggest moment of growth, I think I'm in it right now. Um, I'm the behind the scenes guy for so many years. I've operated in that function, that fashion. I just showed up at a conference, I shared before in Anaheim, and there were 8 of my clients as well as 9 speakers I coached, eight different entrepreneurs. And I looked around the room and they're all operating in high capacity. And I was like a proud daddy, like to be in a room with so many clients and go, holy hell, I played a part in all this. I set these people free, and obviously they did the work, but I helped them, dial it up. And I'm coming out from behind to be up front. And it is one of the hardest things right now is to do it with grace, uh, to stand in that power and make that transition. Um, because I ain't playing anymore. I'm not playing small. I'm not playing quiet. I'm stepping into all the things I've taught everyone else and applying my own medicine.
I love it, dude. And I'll tell you this, man. I met you probably 7 years ago at this point. We both spoke at an event, and I remember being at that event and leaving and going, you're the real deal. And to add 7 years of growth on top of that and all these new lessons, man, like you're so ready to step out from behind the curtain and be that guy. Like I was impressed 7 years ago and I'm excited to see what you do, man. So thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing your journey with my audience and sharing this wisdom with the world because it's needed, dude. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And just want to give you your flowers too. Like you've been at this for a while and it's not without its own challenges. It's not without its own, variables as well. And you've been faithful to the calling. You've been faithful to show up and to prop up other people, to give them a limelight and a stage so their power and their genius can be seen. And your transformation, even before you look at just what you're doing in your podcast, it's the transformation you're making in others, because every time they get elevated, they have to step to a new level. They have to become a new leader. And you're a catalyst for that. So thank you for stepping up and being that guy. That's what you were
Thanks,
born to
man.
do.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.